get 2 of his 4 efforts from 30 yards into a big skip. Obviously, after doing that and celebrating wildly, chance of sign him up went around London Road. He hasn't come on for the start of the second half. In fact, nobody has, but we don't think it'll be too long before we see Junior Marias, who is warming up towards the end of that half-time interval with quite some gusto. So Posh have got us off and underway, and they're shooting from left to right in blue shirts, blue shorts and red socks. Leicester defending the goal to our right and attacking towards their supporters who are away to our left-hand side, are all in black with gold trim. But it's Posh who have the ball down the left-hand side. Here's De Silva Lopez getting it back out to Hughes, who produces a cross, takes deflection off Simpson and goes out for a corner. And it's a good start, good 30-second start to the second half to get up high inside the Leicester half of the field. And Madison will take the corner. From the far side, he's got Stephen Taylor to aim at. It's a flat delivery. Attacking it was Hughes. Underneath it was Fuchs, though, and flicked it out of the Leicester penalty area. Forrester with a half-hearted header again. This time wins the second ball, then loses out to Iborra, goes back to halfway, and Shepherd has to weave to his right to get beyond Barnes and drive into the Leicester half. It then runs into a bit of traffic. Forrester takes over, guides it back to Anthony Grant, and Grant, who's just over the halfway line, clips it down the left, goes straight out of play and away for a throw-in on that right-hand side. So the 2-11s, Bond, Shepherd, Tafazoli, Taylor and Hughes the back 4 for Peterborough. Forrester, Grant and De Silva Lopez. Lloyd and Marriott and Madison are the 3 attacking players. Madison the most withdrawn of those. Leicester with Ben Hamer in goal. Simpson, Benalouan, Maguire and Fuchs, Iborra and Silva. Here's a cross into the box towards Madison. Only half cleared. Grant's got it again. Madison steps over it. Offside flag didn't go up as a result of that, and it dribbles behind and goes out for a goal kick. I'll finish that lineup. Silva and Iborra in midfield for Leicester. Gray, Diabate and Barnes behind Iheanacho in attack. Well, there's a little bit more energy and enthusiasm about Peterborough at the start of the second half.
Well, they would have got an absolute rocket, I'm sure, at half-time from Grant McCann, because he'd been really disappointed with his team's first half performance. Look, the game's probably done and dusted. They're 3-0 down. I mean, Adrian, somewhat tongue-in-cheek, said that the comeback's on here, but the game was done at half-time. So for him, Grant McCann now, the message to his players is go out and win the second half. Go and play for a bit of pride and go and give this crowd something to cheer, because you haven't done anything in the first 45 minutes. Does
that work as a player when you're listening to that instruction in the dressing room at half-time? Go and win the second half. Do you sit there and think, oh yeah, all right then, or do you think, oh, it's gone?
No, you don't think it's gone. I mean, you always feel as though you're still in the game.
Even at 3-0 down against the Premier League side?
Well, you've got to believe that. You've got to believe that. You've got no other choice, really. So, and also, they're playing in front of the TV cameras. They're playing in front of us. You know, we're broadcasting here on the radio as well. And there's a big audience. And so you're playing for your own personal pride as well. You know, they would have all come off at half-time and think, could I have done better? And I think the answer for every single one of them was yes. So go out and do better in the second half.
There is a pause in play here because Ryan Tafazoli has just had to have some treatment after a collision just in front of the halfway line, away to our left. Claude Puel is standing on the edge of a technical area, arms folded, watching Christian Fuchs launch the ball down the touchline. It misses Barnes and Gray and goes through to goalkeeper Jonathan Bond away to our left-hand side. He said the penalty actually in that sort of stodgy game against Woking when they weren't very good. They were very good against Aston Villa in the previous round of this competition, though, and that's the kind of performance they want in the second half. But Forrester has dawdled on the ball again, and he's been robbed by Iborra, picked up by Gray down the left side for Leicester City. He's skating into the left wing position. He's being chased and harassed by 2 blue shirts, but he's still got hold of the ball. Madison has just deflected it out, and it's away for a throw on this near side.
He's had a good day, Forrester. He's had a tough afternoon. He gave the ball away for one of the goals. He's felt like he's had too much time in midfield, and he's had his pocket picked on numerous occasions. He's just not been at it, not been at the races, unfortunately for him.
Fuchs has gone to take this throw, level with the edge of the 18-yard box. He's gone back almost into the crowd to propel the ball. Long throw in towards the near post. Flicked on by Bora, came through to Barnes, couldn't sort his feet out. And then there's a foul on the edge of the box on Lloyd, which gives a free kick to Peterborough United, and they are able to clear it. I do like going to these grounds that I've never been to before. London Road is ground number 72 of 92 for me.
Wow. I reckon I must be close as well to about that figure.
I lost a couple, sadly, when people fell out of the league, which was a bit disappointing.
That's a real commentator, though, isn't it? You know exactly how many you've been to. 72 out of the 92.
But see, in football circles, folks, by the way, commentator is word for sad geek. And that's what he meant when he said that.
And when I go home, I'm going to count how many I've been to.
Yeah, 72 today. So it's nice to sort of find out different nuances about these grounds. It's just the same as Arsenal in the fact that at half time, everyone's still walking in front of you and you can't see the other end of the pitch, so you have to stand up and get on your seat to be able to see the throw-in. Here's Maddison down the right side, driving into space for Peterborough. He moves into the box, goes on the outside of Harry Maguire, dives to the floor, wants a penalty, and I'm sorry, but he had absolutely no chance of getting one. It's out for a goal kick.
I mean, that's a yellow card. It's a dive, simple as that. I mean, there's a shoulder-to-shoulder him and Maguire, and he's looking for it. He's done it a few times today, actually, Maddison. There's a couple of times where perhaps the ball's run away from him and he's looked to go to ground quite quickly to try and win a free kick. I mean, he's trying to deceive the referee there. That is a yellow card. He didn't get one, by the way.
He didn't get one, and he should have done, because it was blatant. And he burst down that right-hand side. Maguire was too strong for him, and he just threw himself to the ground after losing control of the ball. Here's Forrester on halfway, looking for Maddison again. Maguire just heads it away, prodding it away, just before it could possibly reach Maddison, who made a decent run down the right-hand side, but the idea was right. The longer ball from inside the centre circle, down the right channel, trying to pick out Maddison. That was the route to success.
It's been better, hasn't it? It has been a lot better from Peterborough in terms of the tempo and the way they've attacked this second half. Mind you, it couldn't have been a lot worse, could it?
Well, Posh in a good run of form. They've lost only 3 of their last 15 matches in all competitions before today. They did lose late on Tuesday when they conceded 2 late goals at Lincoln, but Marriott and Taylor didn't play in that game. 2 very big players for them, Stephen Taylor and Jack Marriott. Both of them played today, but they are 3-0 down, and we're only 7 minutes into the second half. You're listening to Talk Sport, the home of more live football than anybody else, from the Premier League, from the EFL, the Carabao Cup, from the Champions League, international football. We've got the Russia World Cup, all 64 games from that competition. You're looking forward to going to Russia? You're going out with us, aren't you?
I'm looking forward to it. I've been there as well. Russia, been there a few times. Yeah, played out there. Played in the UEFA Cup. Torpedo Moscow. Torpedo Moscow.
They were a side.
In November, it was absolutely freezing.
Did you get torpedoed out of the competition, or did you?
No, we went through.
Yeah, that's all coming very shortly on Talk Sport. That'll come around quicker than you know it. The World Cup. I wonder how England are going to get on. Here's Harvey Barnes for Leicester City, flicking the ball forward, looking to find the Iheanacho. It's cleared away by a really good ball by Forrester, actually. He's picked out De Silva Lopez on this near side. He moves in from right to left into the centre. Just tried too much. He's just, you know, he's gone into the edge of the box, needs to shift it onto a blue shirt. Instead, comes back the way and starts trying to take on the rest of the Leicester midfield. Loses the ball, and then there's a few groans. They have it back again on this near side. Maddison, who's got more into the game in the second half, sends it to Forrester. Forrester to De Silva Lopez. Back on the left side now. The ball is with Hughes. Hughes just hesitated a little bit too long before firing it back to Tafazoli, who now strides out of defence with the ball. De Silva Lopez trying to turn, getting away from Maguire, spotting Maddison, needs a decent ball to the back post. It just wasn't perfect, and out came Hamer and smothered it. He just needed to fizz that just a yard back in front of the goalkeeper, and Marriott would have tucked that home.
Too much pace on the ball and too close to the goalkeeper. They're both having to go at each other. Maddison saying, why don't you get on the end of it? Marriott saying, well, pass it to my feet, and I would have got on the end of it, because it was probably just slightly overhit from Maddison.
Yeah, the delivery wasn't perfect, but they've started much better in the second half, Posh. But they're down by 3-0. Here's Maddison again. More of the football for him in the second half. Left-footed cross towards Marriott again, but it's far too close to the goalkeeper once more. Curling left-footed, sort of into the penalty spot and then back out again. And it veered away from Marriott, whose hair's tied back in a bun at the back of his head. Short and squat. and he was never getting on the end of that one.
Yeah. Claude Puel, I mean, he's saying, play to the conditions now. You can see he's saying to his goalkeeper, get up the pitch, don't even look for it at the back. Let's just go and get the second balls. Let's play long, and then go and try and play in Peterborough's half, because actually, Peter have been on the front foot in this second period, and Leicester have hardly seen the ball.
Well, Peterborough's best ever performance was quarter-finals of this competition, but doesn't look like they'll be going that far this time unless there's a miracle comeback. Here's a cross into the box from the left-hand side from Lloyd, smothered by Hamer. Doesn't reach Marriott, but the ball has spent more time in the Leicester box in the opening 10 minutes of the second half than it did in the entire first 45 minutes.
Good for us, because our commentary position is halfway inside this half, so all the first half it was all in front of us, wasn't it? Because Leicester were doing all the attacking, and this half Peter were doing all the attacking. It's all in front of us again.
Well, we can deal with that. And wouldn't want a couple of goals. If we get 3 goals for Peterborough in this second half, we'd all be delighted with that. That would send the roof off this place. Not sure that Claude Puel will be particularly happy, but he's never particularly happy anyway, is he, really? Here is Silva, back to the right side, where it's collected by Diabate. Hasn't had a kick in the second half. And he's met by Hughes, who puts it out and away for a throw-in, which is on the far side of the field. And that far side is a bit odd, isn't it, really, when you look at it? Because it's the only ground I've been to recently where there's no advertising boards around the perimeter. So literally, between the edge of the pitch and the first row, there's just a little bit of grass. I mean, if you're sitting in the first row over there, you could probably just touch the player when he goes to take a throw-in. Here is Iborra for Leicester. Simpson guides it all the way back to goalkeeper Hamer, who clips it into the air, spiralling, and as it comes down, it's headed away by Anthony Grant, picked up by Lloyd. Lloyd back to halfway, and then it's all the way down to Stephen Taylor. Shepherd's got on his bike and started to scamper down the right. He wanted the ball a little bit earlier from Taylor, had to check back. Maddison's got it, weaves his way past Fuchs. Shepherd's still on the outside, but Maddison's going alone. He then plays it against Fuchs and wins the corner. It's a different performance in this second half than it was in the first. Maybe it's because Leicester have taken their foot off the gas after getting 3 goals in front after that first 45 minutes. But Peterborough determined to take full advantage. You never know. Here's the corner. Maddison with it, left-footed. It's deep, very deep, towards Taylor. Then comes down to Hughes, who sends it through the legs of the goalkeeper and in. He's swiveled and hammered it home, and Posh do have their goal, and they've reduced the deficit to just 2. And Hughes is the scorer. A corner from Maddison that looked too deep, attacked by Taylor. I don't think he really meant to get it down into the path of Hughes. He swiveled quickly, shot it goalwards. It squirmed through the legs of Ben Hamer. And Andrew Hughes has his first goal of the season. And it's Peterborough 1, Leicester 3.
Well, maybe, just maybe, that comeback's on for the Posh. It was scrappy enough, and I don't think he knew an awful lot about it, Taylor. Ben Loan actually was the man marking him and totally lost the ball in the flight of the ball. And it turned his back, I think, on the corner. Eventually, it falls in the path of Hughes, and he smashes it, well, say, smashed it towards goal, and it went through Ben Hamer's legs, I think, before finding the back of the net. But it's certainly up the tempo in this second half, and it's given the crowd something to cheer.
Marriott dancing with Fuchs and coming off second best. Ball breaks on halfway and Iborra's got it. Runs through the centre circle, being chased by Grant. Gave it away, and Tafazoli has it now. On to Forrester. Peterborough looking emboldened by that goal. Sending the ball out wide left, and Lloyd is on his bike. He's going to chase this down. He gets into the left wing position. Now he fancies his chances against Simpson. Drives across into the near post, and it's deflected behind and away for a corner. And Danny Simpson turns round to his black-shirted teammates and says, come on, get a grip of the game. You're in danger of letting this one go.
Christian Fuchs is looking around, trying to calm everybody down and say, let's just get a grip of this game, because they've been under a real onslaught at the start of this second half and they haven't dealt with it very well at all.
Well, Grant McCann will be a lot happier now than he was when the half-time whistle went. 14 minutes of the second half play, 3-1 to Leicester. The cross isn't great. Goalkeeper went and missed it completely, and it went flashing through the 6-yard box. Maddison's delivery, I don't know if he got caught by the wind there, Matt, but he didn't kick it particularly well. He seemed to cut across the ball and it sort of swirled back towards the far post. Goalkeeper was in absolute no man's land. It dropped inside the 6-yard box, bounced behind and went for a goal kick.
He's claiming a foul. It was Marriott that was around him, and I think he maybe just holding his shirt a little bit just to stop him jumping. He certainly wasn't spotted by Michael Oliver.
Well, sometimes goalkeepers are a little bit on the old soft side when it comes to things like that. Overprotected. I mean, he's got the use of his arms. He's already a lot bigger than everybody else who was fighting for the ball. He could have come out and got that. By the way, the beard has gone, hasn't it? Ben Hamer's beard. Remember he used to have that? Well, it's not gone, but it's not like it was. You know, it was a great big sort of like country beard with bits of pie in it. It's not like that anymore. It's been trimmed. Here is Shepherd on the near side. Forrester, lovely ball out to the near side. Marriott fighting with Maguire. Maguire holds him off, manages to get it away. Pressure from De Silva Lopez, but Maguire manages to clear up to the halfway line, and it goes out on the far side and away for a throw. 15 minutes gone in the second half. Time for a change. And Peterborough United about to bring on Marias, who is a bit of a fan's favourite, really. And he's got some FA Cup pedigree with St Albans when he scored against Carlisle last year. And he's replacing De Silva Lopez, and I don't think that's too much of a surprise. No, he's probably been the most disappointing of all the attacking players, but Peterborough today, he's given the ball away too cheaply. Not really affected the game at all, so yeah, I don't think that's a big surprise. 5 goals this season. His last goal came against Oldham last weekend. And he's on the pitch now to play in the half of that central midfield, and he's all action. And look at him as he's driving forward, but he's got some defending to do first, because Leicester on the attack here. Down the left with Damari Gray, played in by Barnes, and the cross that came in was actually not a bad one at all. And Stephen Taylor read it beautifully and sent it out for a corner. Yeah, really important touch at that near post, because Ashley Barnes was... Harvey Barnes, should I say, was just lurking behind him, waiting for a tap-in. Corner kick to be taken on this near side. We're going to have to get up on the chair again. Damari Gray is going to take it right-footed towards the far post, headed away by Tapazzoli. Chance for a counter. Peterborough coming forward here. This is Lloyd who's leading it, trying to get it out to the left-hand side of a slip by Simpson. And now the goalkeeper's had to come out a long way to get there ahead of Jack Marriott, who was bearing down on him. And all of a sudden the temperature has just been risen up a little bit. A couple of notches. It's just raised a couple of centigrade. Well, there's hope, isn't there? The belief has returned to the team, and Grant McCann is, you know, much more animated on the touchline as well, because I think he was a bit shell-shocked with his team's performance in the first half as well, and all of a sudden now he's gesticulating to the referee and to his players and urging them on. Yeah, now Iborra. Oh, this is not like Seville. It's gone down, holding his right leg. Hold on a second. It was all right in the first half. I'm not sure I want to be at London Road in the wind and the rain when it gets a little bit physical, and the temperature's been ratcheted up a couple of notches. Free kick to Leicester, just short of the halfway line. 18 minutes gone. Peterborough's best ever performance in the FA Cup, I mentioned 60s, the quarter-finals they got to, and they need 2 goals to force a replay here in the FA Cup 4th round. Here is Damari Gray on the left for Christian Fuchs. Fuchs again tries to get it out on the near side, then takes the throw, comes back to Iborra. Iborra all the way back to Harry Maguire. Good job there's a long lead on this microphone, isn't there? We had to do a lot of jumping around in order to see everything here at London Road. Here is Gray again, down the left-hand side, driving towards the edge of the box. He goes on the outside, then the inside, and the inside again on the right foot, tries to get a cross in, takes a deflection, lost his footing, half cleared, not the best of clearances from Madison. Comes back to Iborra via Adrian Silva, then Fuchs with the delivery in towards the near post. A little touch by Iheanacho. There was just enough pressure coming from behind from Tafazzoli, but he didn't get onto it perfectly, and it flicks behind and out for a goal kick. Well, that's the danger for Peterborough, because they are up and they're at them now, but they are leaving space for Leicester on the counter-attack, and that's exactly what happened. It was a wonderful ball, actually, from Fuchs. He wasn't far away from his hat-trick, Iheanacho. 19 minutes gone in the second half, a double change for Leicester City, and Harvey Barnes is coming off to be replaced by Wilfred Ndidi, and the other substitutions, Mark Albrighton, who is coming on for poor old Vicente Iborra, who got a little bit of a whack and wasn't entirely happy about it. I don't think he's entirely happy about being substituted, to be honest. No, Claude Puel's just shaken his hand and then said, "Go on, go have a rest. Come on, sit down. This is not for you. This. It's too windy." Here is Taylor. and plays it back to Grant. Grant saw Iheanacho coming and just used his body to force Iheanacho off the ball. Peterborough bringing out up to halfway. We played 20 minutes of the second half, and thank God for the second half as well, because I must admit at half time I was worrying about what we were going to see in the second 45 minutes, but it's been much better from Peterborough. And a bit that Adrian Dunn did warn me about the fact they could be inconsistent. Not in the same game though. Here's Grant winning the ball on halfway, dancing forward out to the left-hand side, crossed by Madison, aimed towards Grant, headed away by Benalouan. It was a good strong header as well. It needed to be, because Grant was inside the box and lurking. He's now down away to our right. The referee has allowed play on. Harry Maguire's just checking on Anthony Grant. He's okay. They slap hands and play continues. But yeah, when Adrian said to me they could be inconsistent, 1 week you can see him like this and 1 week they'll be like that, I didn't think that would be first half like this, second half like that, but I'm pleased about it, it must be said. I'm sure the fans that have made the trip inside London Road are as well. Yeah, and Claude Puel's reacted, hasn't he, to that start from Peterborough as well by making those two substitutions. Indeed, coming in, obviously a more physical presence in midfield than Iborra. I mean, Iborra's a nice footballer, he is a big lad, but he's not particularly a physical player, whereas Ndidi, a bit more of a tackler, box-to-box midfielder, and Albrighton coming on as well on this left-hand side now. Could we have a dramatic comeback here? It didn't look likely at half-time. It's still unlikely now, but you never know. Here's Albrighton down the left, looking for Fuchs. Good defending by Lloyd. There's been a lot more of Lloyd in this second half as well. He's playing out on the left-hand side in the first half. He's come over to the right a bit more in this second half, and he's been up and down, up and down. They've switched flanks a lot, actually, Lloyd and Madison in this second half. You know, they've not stood out in one position, but they've alternated between being out on the left and right. And Lloyd just complaining that no one told him that there was no chance that Shepherd was going to get on the end of a crossfield ball from left to right, and he allowed it to run, and it ran straight out of play. Marias in midfield was fighting with Ndidi. Ndidi won that battle, and then Diabate, lovely skill, beautiful drag back, and he takes it down the side of the centre circle and pulls it into Damari Gray, then gets the return. Diabate skips over it, left-footed, would be some goal this, good save down to his left by the goalkeeper Jonathan Bond, who had to react after what was marvellous build-up from Diabate. He picked that up on the halfway line, just right of the centre circle. He danced forward, laid the ball off beautifully to Damari Gray, got the return, and then weaved his way into the box before shooting low to the goalkeeper's left, and he touched it wide. What a save from Jonathan Bond, because that was game over. I mean, we thought it was game over at half-time, but another goal for Leicester there, and that was absolutely it for Peterborough. But that was a really big save from Jonathan Bond, big left hand to make the save. I actually like Damari Gray in the hole. I mean, I know he plays out wide, but when he doesn't stay out wide, he likes to drift around. But when he's in that middle of the pitch, I think he's just much better. He gets on the ball, and he's got that quality. Good interchange between him and Diabate, but a really, really good save. Shepherd has it for Peterborough United, or he overran that and then just dived in and tackled with Ndidi. The referee's been quite generous, I think, given that throw into Leicester City. Might have actually given a free kick against Peterborough United, so they might not complain too much. 22.5 gone in the second half. Straight after us, by the way, all the goals as they go in the FA Cup fourth round. Danny Higginbottom, Mickey Gray, Adrian Durham, all the people you need to keep you up to date with everything that happens in the FA Cup fourth round and beyond. And then later on, 5:30 live commentary of Newport against Tottenham, and then Liverpool against West Brom. Here's Damari Gray weaving towards the edge of the area once again. Ndidi into Diabate, picked up by Iheanacho. Out wide it goes to Danny Simpson. Simpson with a left-footed cross deep towards the far post. Gray underneath it, headed away by Shepherd, who defended well. Albrighton is joining the attack now. Lloyd is going to take this out. Is he? Does he keep it from going for a corner? I'm not sure that he did. I can't see that far, sadly. You want to grow a few inches, Sam? I think it is a corner. Yeah, I think it is a corner. Just got back up on this blue bench where I can see that Albrighton is going to take it. And he hits it right-footed in towards the near post, and Benalouan was coming towards it, didn't get proper contact on it. It was cleared away. Marias gets it up as far as Marriott. Marriott holds it up, and then Simpson manages to turn it round the corner and get it back to his goalkeeper, Hamer. 24 gone second half. It is Peterborough 1, Leicester 3. TalkSport, the home of live football. More football than anybody else. Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast back on Monday morning. Already this week he's made headlines by trying to get Ali McCoist to declare his interest in the Scotland job, I heard on Friday morning. Monday morning he's got Joey Barton with him, so there'll be more headlines, I'm sure, after that. Here is Gray running towards the edge of the area. A right-footed drive towards the far post. It took a little nick and it went behind and away for a corner kick over on the far side.
Better 5-minute spell from Leicester. And it's been
just readjusted, haven't they?
It's been Damari Gray. It's been the heart of it. Since he made those substitutions and he's gone in that hole, he's starting to find lots of space.
On the edge of the area now, you can see Ndidi, Maguire and Iheanacho. Benaluan has joined the attack as well. It's aimed in towards Benaluan, headed away by Tafazoli from the corner, which was whipped in by Mark Albrighton over on that far side. A couple of Peterborough supporters down in front of us have started to enjoy themselves. Marriott, he's enjoying himself as he breaks away from Adrian Silva onto the right, and Madison needs a good delivery, gets it back towards the edge of the 6-yard box. And darting into the area was Anthony Grant, who's probably been Posh's best player today, getting up and down and back again. And he burst into the box, couldn't get on the end of it because it was well defended by Leicester. Yeah,
by Silva. Made amends for his mistake, and he holds his hands up as well because he had too much time. He felt he had too much time in the middle of the pitch, but all of a sudden he was under a bit of pressure, had the ball nicked off him, but he did well to get back in and make the challenge to stop Peterborough pulling a second goal back.
Yeah, Stewart's come across to have a word with someone who was getting a little bit excited away to our left, and told them to calm down a little bit, which is really good. But he is now standing in full view of the, well, he's obscuring the whole of the pitch now. But the second half performance maybe has raised spirits to a level that they weren't expecting at half time. Ball has been thrown in by Fuchs into Ndidi. Ndidi back to Iheanacho. Iheanacho taking the ball on, dancing past 3 or 4, and then it comes to Albrighton, and Albrighton gets right underneath the ball and sends it high into the stand away to our left-hand side, and it goes behind and away for a goal kick.
Good play again by Iheanacho. I think he's done all right today. You know, we're quite critical of him in the first half when we saw them at Leicester against
Fleetwood in the replay, wasn't it? Yeah.
Once he'd scored, you could see the confidence just start to come back for him.
Is that a different player, wasn't it?
It was a different player, and I think he's again, a couple of goals today, and he looks on top of his game.
Ndidi, back to Adrian Silva. Adrian Silva just right of the centre circle for Leicester, and to Damari Gray. He's got an ocean of space to run into. He gets it onto his right foot, drives it towards goal, saved by Bond, who's actually straight at him. So it was a more comfortable save than maybe it could have been. But Damari Gray had far too much room there. When he picks the ball up, he's 10, 15 yards from the edge of the penalty area. There's no one within a radius of 10, 15 yards.
No, he's the one really that's really starting to cause Peterborough problems. He's very intelligent in terms of where he stands and his movement to get space, and he's causing all sorts of problems.
And you can hear that wind whipping around the ABAC Stadium, formerly known as London Road, the artist formerly known as London Road. And it's pretty chilly today, and certainly they've warmed up in the second half, Peterborough, but they have just started to give a little bit too much room to Damari Gray again, who's picked the ball up and tried to send it forward. He's collided with Stephen Taylor, who ended up picking up a bit of an injury. A free kick has been given, but for the second time in quick succession, he's got far too much space in that central area, and someone has to sit on him. Yeah,
I mean, Grant and Forrester are trying to push high up on Ndidi and Silva, but by doing so, they're leaving space in behind them. And Damari Gray's just standing in space. He's not moving. He's not doing an awful lot, really.
And at the other end of the field, Marias, who's come on as a substitute, he's almost playing as a third forward, isn't he?
He's playing very, very close to Marriott now.
Here is Forrester trying to get beyond Ndidi. Ndidi tucks it back to Fuchs, who's in the left full-back position for Leicester. Albrighton into Damari Gray. Gray trying to turn. Oh, he's waiting to try and get it down the left channel. He's done just that perfectly. Diabate, first time ball onto Adrian Silva. Back to Diabate. There was space down the right-hand side, but he wanted to come in on his left foot, so he wandered into traffic. And then by doing that, it's cleared away by Hughes and out towards the far side.
Iheanacho to his right-hand side was the ball. Couldn't get out of his feet quick enough, didn't. I don't think he even saw him at first.
Couldn't do it with his right foot, could he?
Well, maybe that's what it was, but that was the ball.
We're now having a security meeting in front of us here at London Road. So So we now can't see what's going on the pitch, lads. Yeah? Okay. Here is Madison down the left-hand side, dispossessed by Fuchs. Fuchs goes on down the touchline, brings the ball infield, gives it to Albrighton for Leicester, looking for a fourth goal here. Albrighton with a drive! Oh, it was arrowing towards the far corner, and it just shaved the top of the crossbar and flew into the Leicester fans. What an effort.
What an effort. Crikey, we were right behind it, and we were thinking that's going to arrow into the top corner, just a fraction over the crossbar.
Oh, it was a good chance, that. Really good chance. 15 minutes to go before the end of the 90 minutes. It's 3-1 to Leicester City. All of their goals coming in the first half, scored by Iheanacho twice and Diabate making his full debut. He scored the opening goal after 9 minutes. The game threatened to go away from Peterborough. In fact, it was all over at half-time until Peterborough came out in the second half and they were just a little bit more alive, and they're coming forward again, looking to really get back into the goal. It's Marriott in towards the near post, and he drives the ball too easily into the arms of Ben Hamer after being played in by Marias down the right-hand side. He burst into the box, into the channel, but he just went for glory instead of maybe just stopping, holding it up, checking back and seeing what was arriving. Yeah,
his touch probably took it a fraction too wide as well, because it really made the angle tight, and he was under a little bit of pressure from Benalouana as well, and in the end it was a pretty comfortable save. Yeah, it was an easy save, wasn't it? Here is Shepherd down the right-hand side, guiding it back towards goalkeeper Hamer rather than sparking an attack. I was looking at Leicester and looking at the squad actually earlier on tonight, and I think I said, you know, we didn't understand why he rotated so many, and I suggested maybe he was trying to keep a few happy. He's got to balance out the squad really, hasn't he? Because he's got probably far too many players than what he requires until the end of the season, especially seeing as they haven't got any sort of European commitments as they did last year. I think Ahmad Musa is going to go back, or has gone back to CSKA Moscow, and in the match days, Islam Salami in the matchday squad today, which we think is quite significant, don't we? I mean, he has been rumoured to be leaving. Yeah, we probably would have expected him to start the game if he was available. If he was going to stay. Maybe there's an injury, maybe there's a reason, who knows? But I think the fact that it's so close to the transfer window, it does. If you put two and two together, you come up with the fact that he might well be on his way. It was like Arsenal-Chelsea on Tuesday night when we were there. Here is Albrighton down the left-hand side, sends the ball towards the far corner, caught by goalkeeper Bond and brought away by Peterborough. What are you saying? He's on his way to Chelsea, is he? I'm just saying he was there. He was there. Lots of just putting it out there. Instagram stories about being at Arsenal-Chelsea on Wednesday night. Here is Hughes for Peterborough, trying to, if they can get a goal with 15 minutes to go. I mean, they scored 3 in 15 minutes at the end of the Aston Villa game, so you never know. Here is Forrester looking for Marias, who just hesitated before running towards that, then headed away by Maguire, and then Damari Gray's just pure class, allows it to run across his body and then steams forward, sends it out towards the left-hand side where it's picked up by Albrighton. Albrighton now just tiptoes towards the edge of the area, comes back in on his right foot, drives the ball goalwards, and the goalkeeper had to be alert there because I don't think he would have been expecting a shot from Albrighton from that sort of distance. It wasn't the most venomous, and he dropped to his right and smothered it. He's doing his best to get on the score sheet, Mark Albrighton. Every time he's picked up the ball, he's looked to get his shot away. Well, he's a good crosser of the ball, Mark Albrighton. Always very, very dangerous at whipping a ball in play. Here is Damari Gray again, far too much room to run into. He gets towards the edge of the area. He's got space out wide right for Diabate. Diabate taps it on to Ndidi. Ndidi's crossfield ball is brought down by Albrighton. Carnu and Chilwell about to come on for Peterborough and Leicester respectively. That's happening in just a second. Still, the possession is with Leicester City inside the opposition half of the field. And Ndidi now sending it down the right, exchanges passes with Simpson, gets it back onto his left foot, smashes it goalwards again. It's not too far away. It's another effort from distance, and it's another effort which wasn't too far from making it 4-1. You just get the feeling though that they've taken the sting out of this second half now, and this Peterborough comeback. In the last sort of 10 minutes or so, they've started to dominate possession of the ball again, and I've got to say it again, I mean, Damari Gray I think has been outstanding. Chilwell coming on, and Iheanacho is coming off, so I'm guessing that Diabate will go out to the sort of forward position, or Damari Gray will go to the forward position. Chilwell will come out to the left-hand side and Albrighton to the right. change for Peterborough as well.
Yeah, Carnu coming on, and he's replacing Danny Lloyd.
Is he still playing?
Yeah, he's still playing. He'll be playing to 105. Now, this is Idris Carnu, I'm afraid. It's not our good old friend, the King, who I haven't seen him for a little while, actually. He's a very funny guy, a very gentle guy, is Nwankwo Carnu. Idris Carnu has come on for Peterborough, namesake, no relation. Ball out of play over on the far side, and it's with Leicester, who have possession from Danny Simpson. Simpson helps it on down that right channel, looking for Damari Gray, who has now gone as the point man up front, with Diabate, who's gone into the number 10. Chilwell one side, Albrighton the other. And it's taken out towards this near touchline and then goes out of play. Peterborough have it. Shepherd into Forrester. Good turn by him, away from Albrighton, and then trying to get Carnu away down that left-hand side. He'll be running at Simpson. It's just a little bit too heavy, a bit high, and it bounces out and away for a throw. So 10 minutes to go. Like you say, they've just sort of petered out in the second half after a really bright start where they dragged themselves back into the game. But since they made the changes, Ndidi coming on into the heart of midfield, it's just sort of swung the balance back in favour of the away side, the former Premier League champions. Remember, these two were in the same division not too long ago, but they've had divergent paths since then. Here is Forrester, out to the left where it's collected by Hughes. There could be one last spark in this game. On Ndidi's just put out that fire because Carnu threatened to go down the left, and then Ndidi read it beautifully. Offside flag is up against Diabate as Leicester threatened to break, and it is a free kick. I'll just give you a bit of information that Watford have named a very strong side in Gracia's first game against Southampton at St Mary's. Adrian Durham is there. Here is Marriott down the left-hand side for Peterborough, bursting into the box. Low cross, easily dealt with by Hamer. And Southampton's new record signing, Guido Carrillo, is on the bench for Manuel Pellegrino's game. More pressure on him over the last couple of weeks, although they had a good point against Tottenham Hotspur, but they are in the bottom three of the Premier League. Be interesting to see what happens down there today. The latest odds from Betfair, Matchday Live's official betting partner on TalkSport. £25 pre-match bet on Leicester can be cashed out now for 40 quid. The latest correct score betting, 3-1 as it is at the moment, is 8-11, 4-1 to Leicester, 16-5. You can cash out on selected single or accumulator bets to take your winnings before the end of the match. Full terms and conditions at betfair.com. 18+. Please gamble responsibly. Little slip away to our left by Jonathan Bond. Marriott trying to get the better of Benalouan, and Marriott, who is what, 5'8.5", has managed to somehow pull Benalouan, who's about 6'2", to the floor.
He's been better second half as well, Jack Marriott. I mean, look, I said first half he was very isolated. At least he's had a bit of support in this second period. Put himself about. He's tried to run the channels. His hold-up play's been better.
Shepherd with a header away, out towards the near touchline, and it goes out for a Leicester throw. He has been better, they have been better, but in the final analysis, that 20-minute period after half-time will probably end up going by the wayside, and all anyone will remember is the fact that they were battered in the first half and Leicester were completely in control at the end of the second half, and that's certainly what's happened as the game has gone on, where they had this iron grip on the match in that first half. Leicester City, they've just regained it and tightened it the later the game has gone on. Here is Maddison down the right-hand side. We've only seen a few brief flurries from him later in the second half after a good start to the second period. Given away, though, by Ndidi. Couldn't be kept in on the near touchline by Maddison, who's still barking at the official on this near touchline. Believes he should have had a free kick.
He probably had a case on that occasion, more so than we've seen on other occasions during this game, because he's gone down to ground fairly easily at times.
Yeah, but he might have been a victim of the fact that he did that previously.
Possibly.
Here's Silva down the right, trying to thread the ball into the path of Diabate. He's found him inside the 18-yard back. Cut back for Chilwell, who shoots right-footed, but it isn't really the kind of contact he was hoping for. He just got straight across it and then into the arms of the goalkeeper. Not either side, it would have been another goal for Leicester, but it was far too close to Jonathan Bond.
Well, he's more left-footed, isn't he, than right-footed. You fancy if it had been Mark Albrighton coming from this side. He started out on this left-hand side, come onto it on his right foot. He probably would have done a bit better with it. Jean
Mario on the bench for West Ham United. They've gone with a strong lineup at Wigan. Many people thought that Wigan could be the big upset of the weekend, but David Moyes was named a strong lineup in that game. We'll have all the team news for you in around about 10 minutes time here on Talk Sport. Here's Ndidi powering forward, sends the ball down the right for Albrighton. His cross is tucked away by Stephen Taylor, who does a backwards roll inside the 6-yard box after putting it out of play. And it's away for a corner.
Pretty tired looking Anthony Grant in midfield now for Peterborough. And indeed just walked past him as if he wasn't there. He's got through an awful lot of work today.
And just see Maddison now looks cream crackered as well on this near touchline. He's sort of walking back, ambling back to try and defend this corner. In fact, he's not going to bother defending the corner. He's going to stay up with Marriott, so that if there is a chance to break, they will be the leaders of it. The corner is defended at the near post by Forrester, flicked out of play for a throw, level with the edge of the penalty area. And it's out and away for a throw-in over on that far side. All the goals that go in from 3 o'clock with Adrian Durham. Remember on TalkSport 2, that Wigan-West Ham game is live. Make sure, if that's your bag, you listen to us via the app or on the DAB digital radio. That's Wigan-West Ham at 3 o'clock. At 5:30 back on TalkSport, more commentary. Newport against Tottenham Hotspur. I wonder if it'll be closer than this one. You wouldn't have thought so, although that pitch might be a leveller. And Justin Edinburgh was on the Weekend Sports Breakfast earlier talking about the fact that actually I think he thinks that Newport will be a little bit disappointed that no one played rugby on it last night. That might have helped. Here's Damari Gray, meandering forward for Leicester, leading the charge, wandering unchallenged into the box, right-footed shot, saved by the goalkeeper. Diabate is there to put the icing on the cake. 4-1. Well, it was an easy finish in the end, but it was led by Damari Gray. Far too much room, time and space. He went unchallenged into the Peterborough half of the field, got it onto his right foot, made a shot which was saved by goalkeeper Bond, and Diabate coming in from the left side started the scoring this afternoon. He finishes it too. It's Peterborough 1, Leicester 4.
Cue the mass exodus of the Peterborough faithful. As soon as that goal went in, they all stood up. Well, not all of them, but a lot of them stood up, and they're making their way to the exits. Damari Gray, second half, has been excellent. He's picked the ball up and he's run at that Peterborough back line every single time. It's looked like something might happen, and it's come, obviously, from him. A shot, okay, Bond did well to make the initial save, but only into the path of Diabate. He gets a double on debut, and that is well and truly done and dusted. Leicester are going through to the next round of the FA Cup.
A double for Diabate on debut.
Easy for me to say.
And it's a victory for Claude Puel. Here's Marias trying to run forward towards the edge of the 18-yard box, but we've only got 2.5 minutes left to play here, so I'm afraid the game is up for Peterborough, and it might be getting worse. And Diabate, who's on a hat-trick, is running down the right-hand side. Out comes the goalkeeper. And has to sweep up in the left full-back position to stop them from getting further down that right-hand side. But ultimately, Peterborough were outclassed in the first half. They went at it with the right attitude, Leicester City, didn't they? They had the right intensity from the very off. And Maddison's just been replaced by Andrea Borg, the under-19 Maltese international. Hasn't played this season, did play a couple of games last campaign. He's on for the final 90 seconds of the game.
No, look, there's a good reaction in the second half from Peterborough, because they was second best by a country mile in the first period, but they came out fighting. They had a spell, they got a goal back. Leicester responded to that by making a couple of changes, and as soon as those changes were made, they just killed the game, took the sting out of it, and Ndidi added a bit of presence in midfield, Albrighton a bit of nous, and Damari Gray, once he went into the middle, it just looks so much better for Leicester again.
They've got a key game with Everton on Wednesday away from home, then Swansea at home, Manchester City away and Stoke at home. There'll be an FA Cup 5th round game for them as well. Next up for Posh Southend, Gillingham, Scunthorpe, Blackpool, as they try and get into those playoff places. There's probably a bit of work to do defensively if they are going to challenge for promotion to the Championship, but they would certainly have to be a lot better at home where they've been inconsistent. Here's Marias down the right-hand side, smashes it into the goal, but the offside flag was up a long way out. Now, how tight was that? And if we had had VAR, would that have been allowed?
Well, we're almost in line with it, and my first reaction was to put my arm up and say it was offside. So I think he probably was a couple of yards the wrong side of that Leicester back four. Not
that it would change the result with 30 seconds to go. Over the last 20 years, Peterborough have gone out to Rochdale, they've gone out to Burton, they've gone out to Wrexham. Had a little scare against Bedford a few years ago as well, when they beat them by just one solitary goal. I think that was the first round game. They can probably take losing to Leicester City. I mean, there's no embarrassment for them. I just think they'll be a little bit disappointed with the way the game started. Here's Borg trying to come forward halfway inside Leicester territory. 2 minutes of added time at the end of the 90. I must admit, I had fears it was going to be a dreadful second half, but it wasn't. Much better. We've just seen the replay of that goal, which was ruled out for offside for Marias.